Hey there, guys. This is Xela700, and I'm here with FMLgamer. Say hi, FMLgamer.
Hello, it's FMLgamer here, obviously, because you just said, der.
And today we're gonna, well, not just today, we're gonna do a whole podcast talking about the Tomb Raider franchise as a whole, going through all of the games, discussing as many elements of each game as we can, and then we're gonna put this out onto YouTube. It's just a podcast, it's like mini video. You're not gonna see, me dying or
As
Nick
much
dying.
as much as you guys probably want to see us die a lot, because we know you guys enjoy that. Yeah, this is just a podcast.
Yeah, well, and I really wanted to kill Laura in this, but I had no video. Sorry, maybe we can just put the scream in somewhere.
Yeah, we're saying that as if it's a bad thing though, guys. We hope you are going to enjoy this, because we know you love Tomb Raider, and yeah, a little bit of a discussion regarding Tomb Raider is encouraged. And of course, if you guys want to discuss things further, then feel free to leave comments, sort of elaborating on things that we've said. We would enjoy that, wouldn't we?
Yeah. This is kind of a special for both of us. I know that you just hit 300 subscribers.
Yay!
I hit 100 a little while ago, but I didn't do anything special for it. So this is kind of a little special something.
How could you not do anything for your 100? Well, this is it. This is what your 100 subscriber special
This is it. I want to do something more, but it just didn't work out as well. So
It's fine.
I'm gonna lay down some. Well, they're not really rules, but just kind of the format of these videos or podcasts. This one right here is gonna be Tomb Raiders 1 through 3. We're gonna do part 2 is gonna be 4 through Angel of Darkness. Part 3 will be Legends through Underworld,
The bad games.
and then part 4 will just be a final wrap up. Laura's influence in popular culture, and probably the movies and books, because those deserve at least a little bit of a mention if we're gonna do the whole franchise.
Of course, definitely. I'm certainly looking forward to this part though, Tomb Raiders 1 through 3, because that's what I personally believe to be the real Tomb Raider. That's just my personal opinion, but I think those are the real games.
So, Nick, where did you start out? Like, what was the first time you saw Tomb Raider or played it?
Whoa, that was a long time ago. First time I saw Tomb Raider was I was at my best friend's house when I was like, well, Tomb Raider 1 came out in 1996, so I'd have been about 7 years old by then. Yeah, I was at my friend's house, and she just got a PlayStation, and by this point I hadn't got a PlayStation quite yet. I was due to get one that Christmas or something, and yeah, she showed me this game, Tomb Raider, and I was like, I think I've kind of heard of that, but no, I don't really know much about it, not played it, and then just instantly fell in love with the game, instantly. Yeah, so the first time I played it was at my best friend's house. I was 7 years old, and I made Lara die quite a lot. That's probably why I enjoyed it so much. What about you, Alex?
The first time I saw it, I was with my dad. He was playing it. I was about 4, I believe, because
Too young.
that's about
Too
right.
young.
Shut up, you were 7.
Yeah, so older. 7 is appropriate age for Tomb Raider, right?
So yeah, like the first thing I saw was the first part of the second level of Tomb Raider 1. And my dad was killing the wolves that ambush you immediately, and I watched him play ever since, and up through about Tomb Raider 3, I just watched him. The first game I've actually played was Tomb Raider 2.
Oh, cool.
And the reason I played that was because I was just like, I was interested. And I used my dad's save file, and I was so afraid because even though I had like 1,000,000 save slots, I was afraid to save anywhere in case I screwed up or something, and my dad got mad, so I didn't save at all. And when I died, I died. I was like, oh well.
Yeah, he'd have a right to get mad though if that happened, considering that, a lot of people are going to say that Tomb Raider 2 is the easy one, but to be honest, I wouldn't say it's terribly easy. Like, I would say that you do struggle at some parts, and it does feel like a pretty long game. Well, like a lot of the Tomb Raiders are quite long, but yeah, I'd be furious if someone saved over my file like that. Yeah, you're lucky you didn't do that though. But Tomb Raider 2
No.
Tomb Raider 2 I think is a good one to start off with, definitely.
Well, the thing about the PC version is that I get like 15 save slots.
Mm.
So it's not just so I could have saved in like one of the empty ones, and it would have been fine. But I was a little itty bitty thing, and I didn't want to screw up. So, anyways, now let's move. I guess let's move right into Tomb Raider 1.
Yep, where it all began.
Where it all began, 1996. With this little developer in Britain.
Yay!
Not known at all, and I think they had like, how many people did they have working on that project? Like 6 or 7 main ones, and
yeah, it was very, very, very few that were working on it. I'm not sure the exact figure, to be honest. Probably should have researched that a little bit, but it was definitely single figures.
Yeah, and then it blew up almost immediately. Like as soon as they released the game, it was all over the place, both here and in England, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, eventually, it ended up selling like over 8 million copies worldwide.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there are more, there have been more sold games since then, but that's a pretty big number back then, especially since, video games were, they were popular, but at the time, they weren't like really mainstream media. They were close, but they weren't quite mainstream media yet. I think that really hit itself in about 2000.
I would say so, yeah. It was kind of not so much considered underground, but not mainstream either. It was kind of in the middle, in limbo, so to speak. But still, like, it doesn't mean that it wasn't popular. It was obviously hugely popular, and it was obviously like a female heroine taking, the role of what would be expected of a male to take instead. So obviously that's, a lot of people do kind of consider the first game to be revolutionary in that way. 3D action adventure game starring a female, although she does have, masculine traits at the same time. Ultimately, Lara's a female, and that's kind of what got a lot of people's attention.
Yeah, that's true. So, did you like Tomb Raider 1 overall?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, definitely. It was the very, very first one I played, and I did actually find the first game, I still do actually, I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit this, but right back when I was a child, even back now, I kind of do find Tomb Raider a little bit scary. The first game especially, because I think it's to do with the lack of sound. Obviously that was to do with the limitations of the engine and so on. But the lack of, not so much sound, but the lack of like ambient sound and music. Obviously there's music throughout the game, but it's very, very sporadic. And I think, when you're exploring caves, like massive caves or, catacombs and so on, and you're just walking around and there's absolute silence. Silence is freaky. Like,
yeah, I mean they really hit the nail on the head right there with the feeling of just you actually feel like this could be something possible, because it's not playing this dramatic music in the background. And actually my game, because I have to you run it on DOS because it's PC, I don't get any sound at all during the levels at all.
That's insane.
So I mean, I get like animal sounds and pistols and stuff like that, but I don't get any music.
Yeah, but you're not really missing out on much, because even on the PlayStation version and the other console versions, like I said, the music is quite sporadic. It doesn't happen very often, and yeah, there's a big lack of ambient sound. But that doesn't fault the game as such. Like, it does just make it seem very, very eerie, and at least for me, and especially the later levels, later on in the game when you go to Atlantis and so on, you're walking through Atlantis, you've got these huge ass eggs, and there's just silence, and you're thinking, what the hell is about to happen? Then boom, yeah,
and then you see the little tentacles on the side start moving, and you're like, oh crap,
so messed up, so messed up. But it works very well. It's effective, and like, if you think about Tomb Raider as a movie, a lot of people say, what's a movie without sound? Well, it depends how well you use it. I mean, even though it's not a movie, it's a game.
It's not what sound you have, it's how you use it.
Exactly, and if you can use silence very well, then it can work to your advantage, and I think it did work, because it just made it that scary, but obviously I don't know whether they intended that or not, but it was, obviously a limitation at the time that they couldn't have too much sound in it due to,
Mm-hmm.
the size of the cartridge disc or whatever, the engine limitations and so on. But Tomb Raider 1 as a whole, yeah, I really did enjoy it. I thought that, being able to sort of roam around in like big caves and go to like Egypt and so on, and then obviously Atlantis being one of the most interesting sections of the game. Yeah, I thought it was a really, really good game, and it is challenging as well. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
There's definitely harder games. Tomb Raider 3. But Tomb Raider 1, it starts off, pretty easy going. It does present you with some challenges, but it's not ruthless on you. It's not entirely ruthless, and there's obviously a lot of medipacks throughout the game. So by the time you get to the end of the game, you've probably got like, God, I don't even know how many medipacks, but enough to get you past the final boss. Is
Yeah, I ended with about 60 of each.
Yeah, you get a lot through it. So it's not a terribly hard game. It's very enjoyable, and yeah, that's what I think about it. What about you?
Oh, I loved the game. I loved it from the moment I saw it. Let's go back to the music for just a sec, because, we talked about how there was very little in the actual game, but there is music, in the title. And I think that the music in all of the Tomb Raider games, but especially in this one, like, the opening song is just, it's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not, like, dramatic or, it's not even really mysterious or anything like that, like you might expect. It's this very nice orchestrated tune.
Of course, yeah.
And it really, it makes you feel like you're about to enter something that's going to be majestic and amazing, and that's really what the game is.
Indeed, yeah. I just found out something interesting as well. I don't know if this is exactly verbatim, but I was looking up some info on the music in the game, and hopefully a lot of people can agree on this, but the sort of general feel of the music is kind of classical, I would say, throughout the game.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of a classical feel. Now, I found some interesting facts here. Now, the main theme itself is 3 minutes, over 3 minutes long, which is, quite average, isn't it? Although, interestingly enough, right, there are 18 tracks in the game in total, and they all amount to about 17 minutes, and basically the average track length is about 57 seconds, and there are only 4 ambient tracks.
Wow.
4. So that just goes to show how little there is, like, in terms of music that was in the game. And then when you go to, like, I know we've not started talking about it yet, but when you go to the games, like, further on, music just becomes such a big part, and I think that's what contributes to making the later games feel very Hollywood-esque, in a way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hardly any music in it at all. But as far as like the whole game goes, as a whole, I just thought it was really, really well done, really well designed. For like the grid system and so on, I thought it did it really well, and obviously having like a variation of locations was good as well. But I certainly enjoyed Atlantis. The last segment.
Atlantis.
Last segment is freaky. It's so good.
It is. It really is. Like, it definitely jumps to like Silent Hill levels for a few minutes, and creepiness, especially the first part of the level Atlantis, which is the second level in Atlantis.
Oh yeah.
That you're just in this giant room surrounded by mutant eggs.
Oh.
And you're like, something's gonna go down.
And then it does.
Yeah, and the level starts off with, it's like black, and then lights come on, and it's an overwhelming moment. It's almost terrifying.
That's I would say that part. The bit where you're first walking through Atlantis, the actual level itself, and walking past the eggs. That's one of the most terrifying parts for me. Also, I'm trying to think. The level Sanctuary of the Scion. That's also really scary, I find, because the noise, the sort of cat mummy, whatever they are, things they make, the freaky as hell. That scares the shit out of me, and it still does.
It still does. And that level is also, because it's such a big level, like, in terms of not the amount of rooms there are, it's not really that big. But the size of like the Sphinx room
Oh
and then
yeah.
the size of the statue, the underwater statues room, it's so immense that you feel like anything could come at you.
You also
And
feel
a lot of stuff does come at you too.
yeah, and to be honest, that level makes me feel very isolated. A lot of the game does, but because of the vastness of that particular level, just
Yeah.
like there's an overwhelming feeling of isolation just because how large it is.
Hmm.
And I can just recall like the camera angles as well. Some of the camera angles, when you slide down the side of the Sphinx, and
Yeah,
then the camera,
it comes out and it's just like it's huge.
yeah, and you just realize, whoa, this room is like massive, and just your imagination starts to go wild and think, what the hell's in this massive room? There's going to be something. There's going to be more than one of them, and they're all going to come and eat me, and yeah, it's not going to be good. Oh man, but yeah, so that room, I don't know, that could possibly be the biggest room in the whole game. I don't know, maybe the last, like the final room in the Great Pyramid might be slightly bigger. You know where you fight Natler?
Yeah.
I don't know, they're probably about the same size, but those rooms like that creep me out, I have to admit. They just creep me out. And plus, if you remember in the drawing distance for Tomb Raider isn't obviously the best,
Yeah.
considering it came out in 1996, so the back area is always completely black, and I always think there's something in the darkness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just feel there's something beyond where you can see,
exactly. It's just like the fear of the unknown, pretty much.
which is especially
That's-
hilarious in like the Lost Valley because it's supposed to be like day,
Exactly.
and you can't, and it's all black everywhere, and you're just like, am I outside or am I in a cave?
Yep. I mean, I'm pretty sure when I first played it, I thought the Lost Valley, where you fight the actual dinosaurs, I always thought that was indoors. Not indoors, sorry, I thought that was in a cave. But it's just meant to be nighttime. They couldn't really make sky. And I think the same also applies for the Sphinx room. Is it not also based outside? But it's just that the sky is, dark. I don't know.
I don't remember. I think that it actually has a ceiling,
All right, I
but
don't remember.
I'm not 100% sure.
But it was pretty cool. But yeah, vast rooms like that are always the scary ones. Like small rooms, you can put a scary enemy in it, but I wouldn't find it as scary. But if you just put a giant room and stick an enemy in that, then yeah, that's gonna be scary. Especially if it's a T-Rex,
T-Rex raw.
Tyrannosaurus. But Natla's not scary. She's not scary in the slightest.
No, unfortunately. So let's talk a little bit about the enemies in the
Yeah.
game. So it starts off pretty easy with like wolves and bats, and those are taken down pretty easily.
Yeah, very
Uh,
easily.
What was like? I think the first time I was actually terrified when I saw the velociraptors.
Mhm.
I was terrified when I first saw
Me
them.
too. Yeah, me too. I mean, when they just come at you and they make that noise, and then obviously you're only just kind of shooting them with the pistols if you choose to do so. Because I think by that point you only have pistols, don't you? You haven't
Yeah.
obtained any other weapons.
You can technically get the shotgun, but you'll have like no
Yeah.
shots anyway. So
They'd be useless.
yeah,
I
and
think obviously when you think the velociraptors are bad, then you move forward a little bit and it gets worse.
worse and worse. Of course, then the cat mummies come in, and that's when things
Oh.
really hit the roof.
I would maybe argue that I know that the T-Rex can be scary and it's huge, but at the same time it's a little bit cliche in a way. It's just a dinosaur.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas the cat mummies, they scare me more than anything in the game, I think, to be honest. Just the noise they make. The like we were talking about earlier. That's what scares me about them, and they're also quite fast, and obviously they shoot fireballs at you. So yeah, I would probably argue that those, for me at least, scariest enemy in the entire game.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're really quite terrifying.
I don't like them.
And then it goes, then it goes to the final area, and you have just like the mutants that are all flesh and gross. Then you got Bacon Laura.
Oh yeah, of course, Bacon Lara. How can we forget about Bacon Lara?
She's delicious.
She is. Oh, but that bit's quite fun. You have to admit. I mean,
Yeah, that was pretty creative, I think.
I thought it was really creative. And I was thinking, wow, this is really good for a game of its time. Actually, if you think about it.
Oh yeah, I love that part. They just see her fall into the lava, and you're just like, what happened?
Yeah. So, I think what we should maybe do, if we're going to talk about Tomb Raider 1, I think what we should definitely talk about is the story and
Yeah.
how the main artifact, obviously there's like a main artifact or main goal to every Tomb Raider game, how the Scion itself ties into the story. I mean, what did you personally think of Tomb Raider 1's story? What was its strengths and what was its weaknesses?
I thought that its major strengths was the fact that you have Natla, and she's this awesome demon god.
Yeah.
I mean, she has wings on her back. She can create monsters, and she has all of these. She's been she's been in prison for thousands of years, and
Yeah.
she's uncovered in like the 1940s, so she has about 60 years of building up to her ultimate return.
Yeah.
But then she's stopped by Lara Croft, and she stopped so like it's so stupid when you find out like she makes so many stupid mistakes, like letting Larson go in twice to try and kill her and failing both times.
Exactly.
I mean, she just makes so many stupid mistakes, and that's really my biggest complaint about the game story is that how good Natla could have been, but just wasn't. How about you?
I agree. That's what I was going to say. I mean, strength wise, like I do really like the story. About the whole gods and Atlantis and so on. That is fascinating. But I would agree with you that the weakness is so much. I don't know. Like as much as Natla is quite awesome, I did find her to be slightly unbelievable as a god, just because her character is very. I don't know. There's something really, really stereotypically evil about her, and I just thought.
I don't know. I kind of like that. It's like the B movie cheese on top of the cake that I like.
It is, but I think that kind of made her seem a little bit, unconvincing as a god.
As a demon god, yeah.
Yeah, she was a little lame in that respect, I suppose. Like, yeah, she's badass, like typical badass bitch. But I don't know. See, when you get to the end of the game and you're like, really, you're still here shooting fireballs at me. You could literally don't even have to fight her. I once just escaped without even fighting her. I had so many medipacks that I just used them whenever my health was low, and I just escaped the temple. I was like, nah, I'm not going to bother fighting
Well,
you.
that kind of destroys the point, doesn't it? I mean, then Natla can get out herself because she has wings.
But she gets crushed anyway, but obviously she gets, found.
Obviously,
And,
she can't escape that awesome demolishing of her own place, which is weird because, I mean, Laura just shoots the scan a couple of times, and the entire place has an atomic explosion.
I know. It's pretty epic. It's pretty Hollywood in that sense.
Yeah, it was awesome, but Natla's kind of an idiot.
Yeah. She should have thought a little bit better, but overall, it was a good game. Really good game, and obviously, being the first Tomb Raider game I played, I was thinking, wow, obviously at the time it was revolutionary, and it was awesome when the next series of games came out and so on. So yeah, I thought it was a fantastic game. It's not my favourite in the series, mind you, but it is great.
I think that we should talk a little bit about Laura as herself in this game before we move on.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she has a personality in each game. It changes a little bit from each game. In this game, she's
games.
awfully polite, even though people are trying to kill her.
Yeah, she is very polite. She's kind of, I don't know, when I think of Lara Croft from Tomb Raider 1, I just think of this really, really polite woman who just likes living in really big mansions, and she's very posh, and she's so well spoken. And as you said, there's people trying to kill her, and she's just kind of a bit like, "Oh, don't do that," sort of thing.
She has the fight with Larson at the beginning of the game, or towards the beginning, and literally she wounds Larson, and then she's like, "I'm sorry for interrupting you, but can we talk about this?"
Exactly. It's like, what?
He was just trying to kill you.
No, exactly. So, I mean, Lara, you think you would have reacted?
I would be a little bit more pissed off than that.
Yeah, I would be as well. But then again, this is Tomb Raider 1 Lara. She's I mean, in reference to Lara Croft as a whole, her character does develop, as you say. But I think that is a good starting point for Lara in Tomb Raider 1, and the fact that she is just like sort of polite woman, and she's just, I don't know. I don't think her personality is very brash at all. I think she's easily likable in Tomb Raider 1. I think even though she's a Tomb Raider and doesn't really show much fear, I think there is a slight vulnerability to her in Tomb Raider 1 as well. At the end of the game where she like struggles and so on, but just manages to escape from Natla and her henchmen.
Yeah.
I think it just kind of goes to show that she's not completely invincible or anything. She's not, she can't just like magically do things. So, yeah,
I don't know.
She
can do the corner bug, which is pretty magical in my book.
A little bit, but that's just a glitch.
It's magic. Don't have to explain it. But we should talk a little bit about the change between in the save and the secret systems.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I know that the save system in Tomb Raider 1 is the bane of most Tomb Raider players' existence. Except for maybe Tomb Raider 3, because that's a little harsh too.
Tomb Raider 3 is arguably the harshest.
But we'll talk about that as it comes. So in Tomb Raider 1, you get in the PC version, which I have, I can save wherever the heck I feel like. But you guys with the PlayStation version have the little save crystals that are at certain points. I mean, I had the PlayStation version to start off with. I do own the PC version, but I've mostly played the PlayStation version. So obviously, you can only really save it when you find a crystal. And the secret system changes in like each Tomb Raider game. I'm not even kidding. Like every single Tomb Raider game has an almost completely different sacred system. In Tomb Raider 1, there's like a certain amount of secrets per level, but you don't know how many secrets there are until like the last then stats. Which I mean, I kind of like that because in your first time through, it is secrets. They are secret. So.
Well, yeah.
How should you really know how many there are in each level? In Tomb Raider 3, they changed that, obviously, but...
Yeah, of course. But do you know what? I've kind of forgotten how the secret system works in Tomb Raider 1. I mean, what is it? Is it just ammo? And
It's ammo and health packs, so you just...
It's just ammo and health packs, isn't it?
And, yeah, ammo health packs, sometimes... I think that the magnums are a secret, if you want to get them early.
That'll be it then, because I totally forgot what the sort of secret system was in that game.
Yeah.
But also, it would be interesting to know one of the secrets. Yeah, you were talking before about the Sanctuary of the Scion. Yeah, that secret is so random. An invisible platform, really.
That was hilarious. I looked down and I'm just like, are those Uzis on the floor or are they suspended in midair? How the heck am I going to get that? Swing on a rope and grab them?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know. When I first found that, I was like, what? Is that a glitch? What? I don't understand.
Yeah, it was... Of course, the weapons in Tomb Raider 1 are... I think that they're all useful. Like, more useful than compared to most of the other Tomb Raider games. I find that their usefulness is because there's less weapons, there's more use for each one of them. And in like later Tomb Raider games, I think that kind of changes and it becomes less important to use, varying weapons. So what's your take on the weapons? Do you like them in Tomb Raider 1?
Well, there's not really that many. I mean, yeah, to be fair, it's the first Tomb Raider game, so it's okay, but I think I'm just thinking about that in retrospect. Obviously, as Tomb Raider games go on, you think back to Tomb Raider 1 and you think, well, you only had the pistols, the shotgun, the magnums, and the Uzis, but, I mean, to be honest, realistically, you don't really need anything more than that.
No, you don't.
Anything that was in the later game was just a creative added bonus.
So, I guess final thoughts on Tomb Raider 1 would be I really enjoyed the game. I mean, it's a classic. I think that everyone should play it at least once, regardless of what system you play it on, whether you play it on PlayStation or PC or Sega Genesis or whatever.
Yeah, Mega Drive.
Or was it Dreamcast? I don't know. It was one or the other.
Yeah, I think it was the Mega Drive. Actually, do you know what? funny you should mention that actually, because about a month ago I actually found the Mega Drive game with someone I know. Like, we actually found it in a shop. And they were
Really?
selling it for so cheap. It was like, oh, this is so rare.
Did you buy it? That would have been awesome.
Oh, he did. Yeah, my friend bought it.
That's amazing.
I just thought, what? Like, how often would you come across something like this? But I would have to add to the final thoughts about Tomb Raider 1. I really, really, really like the Atlantis section. The design, it's creepy. I mean, the textures, if you remember on the wall, you have the pulsating, it always reminds me of like pulsating arteries.
It's like a living pyramid.
It's a living, disgusting, slimy pyramid. But that's just part why I thought it was really unique. Towards the end, like, I just thought, you know what, this is a pyramid, and inside the pyramid it's literally living, it's all connected, it's like a huge vessel with all these, intertwined arteries, capillaries, or veins or whatever. And yeah, I just thought that was pretty creepy. But that's why I really enjoyed the last section. It is scary as heck, and yeah, you've got those weird textures, so I personally loved it. I mean, I meant to ask as well, out of all the sections in the game, which would you say was your own favourite?
Oh boy, that's a hard one. I liked Atlantis a lot, but I think my favorite is probably the first section, which is Vilcabamba and Peru. And
Yeah.
I really like that because first of all, the Lost Valley is like my favorite level in Tomb Raider 1 because it's almost like Jurassic Park, and I love Jurassic Park.
Oh, me too.
And I mean, I think it's just a great section to start off because, I mean, you got the first two levels, which they're kind of in caves and everything, but then you get to see the grandeur of the Lost Valley, and you get the terrifying T-Rex encounter, and I think that's really a good area to really explore and get the feel for Tomb Raider, and I just enjoyed all of it.
So early in the game as well. That's what's pretty funny if you think about it.
Yeah,
it's very early in the game. They're like, "Rah, T-Rex! Let's throw that in."
And that's, I mean, it's like 20 minutes into gameplay for me now.
It's pretty awesome though. You don't really expect something like that on the third level of the game, So, yeah, Tomb Raider 1. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I think it's brilliant.
Play it.
Play it. If you haven't played it, I'm surprised you'd be listening to this. Surely you've played Tomb Raider 1.
Surely.
But yeah, if you haven't played it, or if you've only played some of it, half of it, really, really highly recommend you finish it.
I think you can actually
It's
get
great.
like a demo of it even if you wanted. I think you can get a demo for the PC on TombRaiderChronicles.com.
Can you?
I think so. They have demos.
well.
I'm just not sure which games they are for.
But yeah, if you wanna play it, then you can have a look and see if they still have the demo up. But also you can buy it online, a PC version, for really, really cheap now. You can get it for a good price. In fact, at least I know over here in the UK, you can actually buy all 4 of the first games for about £12, and you can get that on Amazon.
Which is
Advertising.
Really good price.
Just throwing a bit of shameless advertising in here.
Shameless Amazon advertising.
Yeah,
Because
Amazon.
we all know that you work for Amazon secretly, Nick.
Yeah, I do. I'm gonna get paid for this, duh.
Yeah.